Is takt time the same as cycle time? I've covered this topic before, but it was all visually. Right now, I'm going to answer some questions that we've been getting from viewers of this channel and of our blog posts on our website that will really address what you and the people that are searching this topic really want to know. And so let me just be clear. The takt time is the rhythm from zone to zone to zone on your takt plan, but it's the rhythm of where a trade will move from zone to zone to zone in a train. And the train is the sequence or grouping of trades behind each other in a sequence as they move through the project. So the takt time is basically the speed at which they do that. Every takt time indicator, they do a handoff and move to another zone within that specific train. And yes, trains in a phase can have different takt times. Cycle time is different because the cycle time, and there's different ones. Manufacturing people give me a hard time all the time. But the base understanding of a cycle time is how long does it take to create one product in manufacturing, but for us in construction to complete one scope of work in a zone. And it's not just when they hit the zone to the end of the zone, it's from the time they gathered the materials and prepared, mobilized, started within the zone, and then finished, punched, and demobilized out of that zone for just that scope of work. Okay, that's the cycle time. Those are two very different things. And then you have the overall customer cycle time, which is how long does it take to produce one thing for the customer from the time they ordered it to the time that they received it. So we have to be very specific. I call it in construction the in-zone cycle time. And so what I'm going to do right now is answer some questions that are very pertinent to this topic and link you to other videos on this channel talking about takt time and cycle time that I think you're going to love. So if you're interested in all that, stay with us. Why do people confuse takt time with cycle time? First of all, these are terms that aren't very well understood or known, and they've been primarily manufacturing focused. I love manufacturing. We are so grateful for manufacturing. We learn so much, but there's this huge concept, or misconception rather, that construction is different from manufacturing. It is not. It's not even at all different. The only difference is, which you find in manufacturing, is what the flow unit is. Let's talk about line manufacturing. In line manufacturing, the product flows. In construction, the trades flow. The train of trades is the flow unit. It's really no different, right? Let me give you an example. We do a lot of consulting for companies that do pre-manufactured pods or bathroom units or wall assemblies or like entire housing units. And there's always a question, and it's usually based on what their constraints are, is do we move the actual product down the assembly line, meaning the pod, or do we move workers through, and we have stationary pods? Let me just picture here real quick. And actually this is a pretty good analogy. If you have rails and each of these pods are on a mobile platform and you can easily pull them down the line, then most of the time the product is moving in these manufacturing assemblies for construction. So it's essentially prefabricated construction. These are moving and they will move, and then the workers with their station and their tools are stationary. And so they'll just move it down the line, and at the end they'll load it on a truck and take it away. Super fine. See that all the time. We do that all the time. If they can't do it, they don't have rails, they don't have mobile platforms, or they don't have space, then you may put that pod in one location, which is very tricky, and then you move the trades through that manufacturing facility. And then you'll have, and this isn't great, but you'll have a batch, like maybe it's 2, 5, or 10, or half of the plant, they'll get all done, and then that 10 gets loaded up on the truck. Then you get a new batch, and I don't like large batch, but you'll get a new batch of platforms, and then the trades start moving through it. So in that one example, depending on how the manufacturing plant, and yes, you should buy and design the manufacturing plant to do what you want, keeping the end in mind, work it backwards, but sometimes these startups will just be like, oh, there's a facility, I'll go buy it, and it's the worst thing for what they're trying to do, and sometimes they force themselves into one or the other. But in one or the other, the focus was The flow unit in one was the product, the flow unit in the other was the sequence of trades. So it's not that much different. And it's line manufacturing, the product flows. In construction, the trades flow. It's not different. We have failed to translate these terms over to construction, and we've misunderstood them. And in fact, when people do translate it like me, where we're talking about takt time, cycle time, Little's law, the law of the effective variation, bottlenecks, Kingman's formula, we get made fun of because it's not the exact thing, when really what should happen is manufacturing experts should actually stretch their minds to understand our world. That's why it's misunderstood. And we don't use takt time a lot because of CPM, which is one of the biggest problems in our entire industry. And we don't use cycle time that much because of CPM as well, because it doesn't use time by location format. That is the answer to that question. The other question is, can I just use one and ignore the other? Well, takt time is a function of your rhythm and how you keep all the trades and rhythm together, and cycle time gives you a more zoomed in analysis of how your crew is performing. The combination, or the how well all the cycle times are working together in a train of trades, will dictate your takt time. Your takt time is how the whole train is flowing. This is a good analogy. Let's use a train for an analogy. Let's say hypothetically you could have a train car and one has, rail wheels, whatever they're called, that you could literally drive that car at 240 miles per hour. And then you have another car where car is only designed to go 80 miles an hour. The cycle time is like, how fast can each of these cars in the train go? But the takt time is really, how fast is that train going to go together? So it doesn't matter that one of these is designed, the axles, the wheels, the undercarriage, to go 240 miles an hour. If you're linked to another car, boxcar or wagon, down 8 cars down, they can only go 80 miles an hour. So cycle time analyzes what each individual crew, wagon, boxcar, or trade or takt wagon can do inside the zone, but the takt time is how fast is the whole train going together. So I would very much recommend focusing on both, because here's the interesting relation. Let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4 takt wagons, which include different trades. Let's say that you're analyzing how fast each of them can go. As they all start to reduce, your overall takt time can reduce with it. So if you don't focus on cycle time, you'll never improve your takt time. And if you never focus on takt time, you may not be supporting the cycle time. So I would focus on both. How do I calculate each one and when do I use them? Quick answer. Your cycle time is how long in the zone does it take to start and finish. And then preparation can be separate, but it's a part of the overall waste analyzation. So you look at that for each individual trade so that you can actually identify the takt time. Takt time is a function of the aggregate of your cycle times. And if you have one cycle time that's super long, you might have to break it in half or get another resource. And so what you do is you calculate your cycle time by how much work you have to do with the crew you have within the constraints. And then you look at all of them as an aggregate and identify how low you can get the takt time by packaging everything properly. What does it mean if my takt time and cycle times don't match? Well, let's look at it like this. Let's say your takt time hit every 3 days, and your cycle time is 3.5 days. You won't have enough time, it won't work. Let's say it only takes 2 days, you'll have too much of a buffer and you'll be wasting time. If they don't match, you'll have production problems and somebody will suffer. The ideal is if you had a 3-day takt time, that every crew finishes between 2 3/4 days and 2 1/4 days with a little bit of a buffer. So you want to right size the activity with the buffer within the takt time, and the cycle time, analyzing that allows you to separate the activity time from the buffer time and to right size everything. And as every cycle time for every trade starts to narrow, you can analyze shortening your takt time for the overall train as well. Which one should I teach my crews first? Cycle time, analyze value add and non-value add activities, and make sure that the crew has buffers but narrows the cycle time by eliminating waste, and then every other crew working at the same speed, the same cycle time, is what allows you to have a consistent takt time. These are the questions that have been asked about cycle time and takt time, and I'm sure that when you watch the other videos, you'll be like, I got it. Because here's the bottom line. Going on a takt time on the project is the key to flow, and understanding your cycle time is the key to fitting within the takt time. I'm going to put this into a blog post for you with the other videos. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.